It's Derby Day in the state of North Carolina. North Carolina FC, in search of its first points of the season, heads 2.5 hours southwest to Matthews Sportsplex to take on the 2-1-1 Charlotte Independence. Along with Devin Kerr, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for joining us tonight in what should be a good one between two teams looking to get back on the right track. We'll start with North Carolina FC. An 0-3 mark to start the season, Devin, but a lot of bad luck along the way, especially in their last match.
Yeah, unfortunately, their record doesn't really indicate exactly what they've been able to put into their matches so far. Some solid performances, but like you said, Josh, coming out last week, unfortunately, kind of got snake bitten a little bit early. Kyle Becker couldn't put the late penalty kick away, unfortunately lose 1-0, and unfortunately enough as well, Fawn Williams stepping in, getting the save of the week. And you take a look at their starting lineup, and just from back to front, they really have so much talent. Alex Tambakis, what a seasoned goalkeeper back there, and Danso and Dewey in the middle. They're really going to be the guys going forward that are most important. But watch Stephen Miller on the out-hand side. Converted midfielder, back to defender. He kind of shifts back and forth, but the guy who's going to pull all the strings, we brought his name up already, Kyle Becker, he's what makes this team tick. Shifting over to Charlotte, you're going to see very, very familiar names. Joel Johnson's actually going to shift out onto the right-hand side, former Defender of the Year nominee coming into last year. And Alex Martinez started off the season on a suspension, has made a nice transition into the team so far, and they've really done well going forward. But again, they're another team that in the final third, Mike Jeffrey's telling us, they really haven't had things come to fruition. They haven't been able to finish as well as they'd like to. But I'll tell you what, when you've got Jorge Herrera, Team of the Week nominee, did very well, and also Player of the Month nominee, and Caleb Calvert. Those guys are having a great start to the season, and they're looking to continue it on in this game here this evening.
Goal scoring has not been an issue for Charlotte Independence this season, and Mike Jeffrey's the first and only head coach in Charlotte Independence history. Kickoff in the Derby Day. North Carolina coming up in just a couple of moments. Charlotte Independence and North Carolina FC.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Welcome back to Matthews Sports Park in Charlotte. Josh Appel, Devin Kerr with you, getting ready for North Carolina FC and Charlotte Independence. Charlotte 2-1-1, 7 points in the early going this year. They sit third in the Eastern Conference. North Carolina FC at the bottom of the East, still looking for their first points of the season. You see their 0-3-0 record. Devin, what's something you're going to keep your eye on tonight?
Well, watch the backlines from both squads. They're kind of a makeshift of sorts. On Charlotte Independence side, you've got Donnie Smith, who's dealing with a growing injury, was out last game, and Mike Jeffries kind of threw Kalungi in there. He did a good job. He was a little bit frustrated at times, but also telling us that in the opening 4 games, a lot of players put into that situation would struggle as well. And when you jump onto the other side of things, North Carolina FC has struggled as well. Aaron Guillen out on suspension, so they're bringing Peebo Due in, and again, 2 kind of not makeshift backlines, but close enough if you could make that analogy. So defensively, both teams trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and that's going to be interesting for Charlotte going forward because they, like you said, they've been able to put up good offense going forward so far. Struggled last game, but trying to get back to their prowess here in this match.
A 2-0 loss at Nashville last week for Charlotte Independence. Gave up an early goal and couldn't recover from that when they were pushing late in the match. That's when Nashville sent home the goal that iced it. Head coach for North Carolina FC, Colin Clark, in his 7th season as head coach, hired back in 2011. Longest tenured head coach in North Carolina FC history. This is their first season in USL, and it's the first time that Charlotte Independence and North Carolina FC have met in the same league as league foes. They, of course, have played in the past in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and those matchups have been a lot kinder to North Carolina FC than Charlotte Independence.
I'm sure Mike Jeffries and his boys in blue would like to forget those. The last 2 times they've played each other in those runs that you're referencing, Josh, they've gone down 4-1 and 5-0. So obviously looking to get back on the board and have a little bit different of an outcome, but I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of interesting blood running between the 2 squads. Again, you mentioned them coming over from NASL, making the transition to USL. So that's an adjustment as well, but also meeting in the regular season is way different than a U.S. Open Cup experience. So the emotion may run a little bit lower, you would think, but it's Derby Day. Make no mistake about it. These guys are going to come out, they're going to come out hot, and they're going to want to prove something. They're such bitter in-state rivals.
Your official tonight, Matt Franz, on an 80-degree, partly cloudy night at Matthews Sportsplex. Should be a great one. A new budding rivalry in USL, one that both teams are certainly excited about. Both fan bases are excited about as well, expecting a packed house at Matthews Sportsplex tonight. There you get a look at Andrew Dykstra, the 32-year-old, on loan from Colorado Rapids. Season goal tonight for Charlotte Independence. 1 clean sheet this season in 4 games started. Devin mentioned the defensive switches for both sides. North Carolina kind of forced into it. You mentioned it with the injury to Tobin and the suspension to Aaron Guillen, who received a red card in the last match for North Carolina FC, as we are underway. Carolina FC with first possession. It's something that they're very good at. They held possession for over 70% of their last match against Indy 11. Something they've been able to do in their first 3 matches, control possession, but as you mentioned earlier, they got to be better in the final third.
Yeah, and most fans, anyone who's watching the game, the players, the coaches, including Mike Jeffries, the foe on the other side of the bench, said, you know, that record is not accurate. It's not how they play. You mentioned it, Josh. They've carried all the possession. They've put up good stats. But when you get to the final third, you just have to finish. You know, you're 3 games in. You don't really have much to show for it. Obviously, no points. But, again, offensively going forward, Daniel Rios, Iwolo, Kyle Becker, Austin Deleuze, all of these guys carry boatload of tactical capability and talent of getting up and down the pitch. They're just looking for that closure in the final third.
How about this? Despite scoring the 2 goals in their 3 matches, they've hit the post of the crossbar on 5 separate occasions. And you mentioned earlier as well, Kyle Becker unable to convert in the 92nd minute of stoppage time last week on the penalty kick that would have most likely given North Carolina at least a point.
And that gives you an excellent representation of what they've done going forward, and just unlucky. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, and the woodwork just kind of kicks you off to the side, and you don't get those fortunate little inches that you're looking for maybe later on in the season you get.
Devin, as a former player, did you ever have spells like this, and how are you able to kind of stay level-headed and not swing too high or too low?
Well, the biggest thing is, and coaches will tell you this as well, is number one, we have to remember we're 4 games into the season. So everybody, you know, take a deep breath, calm down. There's plenty of teams that won't reach their form until 5-6 games left in the season. I mean, we saw the Independents coming down the stretch last year. They were one of the hottest teams in USL. Talent all over the board. Enzo Martinez, former MVP, finalist and candidate. Jorge Herrera had a boatload of offensive capability last year too, but you know what? Coming down the stretch, they couldn't close. They couldn't score. Jeffries would say, you know what? Don't panic, and they went into the offseason kind of restructured a little bit. North Carolina FC is in that same boat. Again, you have to be patient. You have to let the things come to you, but don't stray away from your guns. Continue to do what you're doing, because eventually things will come.
Graham Smith with some pressure there. He was lobbying it for that to be North Carolina FC ball, but they call the foul instead, and so Alex Martinez will get it started back up again for Charlotte Independence. Charlotte opened the season with 2 convincing wins against Ottawa Fury FC and Toronto FC 2. Came from behind twice against Atlanta United FC 2 for a draw. And they've gotten off to a better start this season compared to last year. 7 points in the first 4 matches in 2018 compared to 5 points in the first 5 a season ago.
Often flying for sure, but you know what, Mike Jeffries, he has said to us that they need to do a better job consistently. They haven't been able to put together a full 90 minutes. And going forward, that they've played out of the back well, better than he thought, and he thought the transition has been good, but again, when you get to the final third, they just can't put anything into the back of the net, and that comes with a lot of personnel problems as well. You know, you started off the season with that Alex Martinez. You've had the issues in the back. When everybody's shifting all over and you've got makeshift formations trying to put things together, that chemistry really is lacking.
Get a look at Peebo Due on the all-name team. I would say in USL, but potentially in soccer in general, right, in the United States.
Peebo Due, Footy Danso, the 2 of them.
We were talking before we went on the air how Footy Danso, if you're a footballer, I mean, that is the perfect name.
Yeah, it's legendary for sure. But I tell you, getting back to NCFC's record and the woes that they've dealt with so far, they've got a rough one here tonight. Anytime you come to the Sportsplex, it's difficult, yet alone when you're dealing with a rivalry such as this. But this is a game that could really help turn them around and take some momentum going forward. Their next 3 games, they're dealing with Toronto 2, Ottawa Fury, and Penn FC. And respect to those squads, but they're currently sitting 3 of the bottom 4 in the Eastern Conference, so they really need to take advantage of these opportunities.
Well, that's what Charlotte Independence has done at the beginning of this year. You look at the combined records of their opponents so far, just 3-9-3. North Carolina FC tonight, Toronto FC, and Ottawa Fury FC are all winless. And they've played now all 3 in the early part of the season.
And going to the Independence in their record, they're going to have to go. They're going to play Indy 11 home next week. Then they go to Charleston Battery and then home to FC Cincy. So NCFC getting the opportunity to maybe poke on the little guys a little bit. Charlotte's got a lot of work to do.
No real chances from either side yet, as you see Dykstra off his line. 5 minutes into the first half. Giveaway there, Graham Smith, and it's taken away. Joel Johnson able to recover and take it to the corner. In the middle, and it's cleared away.
You can hear the fans really getting into it now, 6 minutes into the match. And it's going to be a fun one for sure this evening.
Get a look at Donnie Smith just now, nursing that groin injury, back in training. We were told he'd be available tonight. It was a bit of a surprise to see him in the starting 11.
Shocked that he's in the 11, and shocked that Mike's moved him outside to the left back position. That's an interesting spot to place someone who's dealing with the groin injury, but Mike Jeffries can be funny with that. Very funny with his words, and the tactical tactician. Not giving really anything away, playing mind games almost.
Martinez picks up a yellow. Joel Johnson coming to plead his case. Martinez looks a bit dumbfounded there.
That's the fiery emotion you're going to get out of Martinez in and game out, but it's just a reckless challenge. 7 minutes into the game. There's no real reason to leave your feet here. I mean, a couple moments ago down in the corner, he had a little bit of pushing and shoving. You see he gets knocked off the ball there very well by Andre Fortune, and just comes back in and trying to get a little bit of vengeance back with Austin Deleuze. A reckless tackle for sure, and a yellow card rightfully so.
And Deleuze, a veteran with NCFC, entering his 7th season. He's a captain on this team. And He didn't take too kindly to that.
Not whatsoever. And Kyle Becker, we've brought him up a few times, but he's excellent on these dead ball situations. Great service. Keep an eye on him. Nice little in-swinger near the penalty mark.
This will result in a corner. This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A, our first of the match. Becker will take it. New signing this year. A lengthy resume in MLS. Has international experience as well. Member of the Canadian national team. And a foul here against NCFC. He had 2 balls in play. That would be an interesting modification for the sport.
You should make that recommendation to the USL after this game.
Why not? Spice it up a bit.
There you go.
A big weekend for USL. ESPN Plus partnership launching today officially. Glad you could be with us tonight. Derby Day in North Carolina. Kevin George going down there. NCFC whistled for the foul. Here's a chance for NCFC. Oh, that's offsides actually. A late whistle for it. That's why I was kind of caught off guard.
See, the emotions are definitely running rampant here in the opening moments of this match. And no love lost between these two squads for sure.
Daniel Rios had an opportunity momentarily before the offside was finally whistled. That's really the closest either side has come to putting any pressure on.
It's been choppy for sure, and you'll see this in rivalry games like this where the atmosphere is just so electric and everybody's just kind of trying to find their place. Very choppy play, back and forth, things just kind of bouncing around. But the 2 systems that these guys have in place, Mike Jeffries and Colin Clark, they're very possession-oriented styles of football, and they like to hold it, move out of the back, move in and out of the channel. So don't expect this choppy play to continue much longer.
So far, NCFC has been the team controlling possession, and it makes sense when you look back at their previous 3 matches we mentioned earlier. They controlled possession for 70% of their match against Indy 11, but you can't cash in your opportunities. You hit 2 posts, you can't convert on a PK. That's what happens.
And as my old managers used to say, it doesn't really matter all the numbers that are thrown at you. What matters is that scoreboard. It goals win games.
That's been a challenge for NCFC early on this season, but you would figure that just by how things work, that the luck and the bounces will eventually start to go their way. 5 posts and 5 crossbars. It's one thing if you're like Charlotte Independence, which for the most part hasn't had trouble scoring this year. You're peppering some off the bar. Okay. But when you're struggling to score, and on top of that, your chances are coming just oh so close. It's got to be frustrating. Here's a ball into the box. Out of the reach of Herrera. And a foul against the 37-year-old Colombian.
Father Time right there doing his deed. And we brought him up in our opening comments, but first team USL 08, 09, 10, 11. 4 goals in his first 4 games. He's trying to make that case this year for sure.
Last season, he passed the 50 career goal mark. 4 goals this season for Jorge Herrera. Martinez. Nice little back heel flip for Graham Smith. USF alum out of Tampa, playing for George Kiefer, who's now the head coach for NC State.
You had to get that in there, didn't you?
Of course. Of course.
Name drop for the school. I respect that.
USF alums got to take care of the USF alums. What can I say? Smith earning his way onto NCFC this year. This is his first pro season. Participated in the club's invite-only combine and a preseason trial. Earned his first pro contract.
Head referee Matthew Franz having a conversation with Jorge Herrera. Herrera not happy with the referee's decision to blow the whistle. You saw Becker try to tee one up and took it off the arm.
So a chance from just outside the 18 for NCFC in the 14th minute.
And there's Mike Jeffries making the case as well. He said, what am I supposed to do? My player, he turns against the shot. He has his arms into his body. That's everything you're supposed to do in situations like that, and still they blew the whistle. A little bit controversial from Matthew Franz, our head ref. And an excellent opportunity for NCFC as you're going to get another look here. Great ball played into Becker and just has it go. That's difficult. Donnie Smith, I tell you, most referees would probably not blow the whistle in that situation.
Still trying to get everybody lined up.
Fortune sitting over it, wants to get in on the ball, but make no mistake about it, Kyle Becker will hit this.
Right, so I want to know what his mindset is on a set piece like this, just outside the 18. He sends it high.
That gives you an idea right there, and that's very difficult. I mean, you can see just inside the 18, he's probably sitting right around 19 yards out. To get a ball up and over a wall that's that large and that close proximity is extremely difficult to do. A lot of times you'll see players in situations like that with such a large wall, not a lot of space to work with. You'll get a little foreplay, if you will, a little touch to the side, move around the wall and have a secondary player hit it, but Kyle Becker goes to goal and he's definitely had better efforts.
Johnson heads it forward, but it's taken away by Graham Smith. Johnson takes it right back. Physical play, Smith and Martinez, they let that go. A long ball down the left side. That was Iwala. Herrera heads it towards the sideline, and finally, Martinez is able to clear it downfield. Smith. Iwala goes down, and no call. Charlotte on the counter, Martinez. All the way to the edge of the 18, and he sends it high. He kept waiting for somebody from NCFC to come and challenge him, but he took it right to the penalty area with a golden opportunity and just couldn't hit the net.
And interestingly enough, because of the turnover, Peebo Joy gets caught out of position a little bit, and that's communication between the back line. Michael Harrington, you see, just stutters, and waits. He's got to step up into that space and close it down. Footy Danso will slide over as well, and you almost become a makeshift three-person back line. But when you don't slide, you give the very talented Alex Martinez an opportunity that is unnecessary.
Fortunate there. Becker, a long ball, and unable to keep it in. Daniel Rios. I don't think either side is very happy with the officiating in the first 16 minutes and 45 seconds of this one.
You'll see that in a lot of situations like this. The referee gets hyped up on emotion as well, and all you want to make sure is that the game doesn't get away from him.
Look, it's Derby Day. Who isn't excited?
Exactly.
First matchup between these two clubs as league foes. They've played plenty in the past with NCFC is a member of the NASL and the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, which had been, at least in the matchup between Charlotte and North Carolina, been dominated by North Carolina FC, a 5-0 and a 4-1 victory in the last 2 seasons.
People forget how difficult it is to go on the road as well, so keep that in the back of your mind, because as we mentioned, they've never played here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, and having that home squad really is a benefit. You know, you can hold that 12th man almost in some areas, and you can hear the Jacks in the background, the militia, they're getting it going, and they're going to sing their boys to victory, hopefully.
You kind of tell how excited these fan bases were about this rivalry and the infographic that they put together. If you have the time, go take a look on Twitter.
A little bit of contrasting comments, to say the least.
Here's Herrera. Martinez now. Cato for Johnson. Herrera, a low roller. Tambakis who dives on it.
Yeah, much better ball movement from the Independents, though. 4 or 5 guys interchanging very well down in the corner. Herrera trying to get to the byline, knock something across, couldn't get enough power behind it. But that's what Mike Jeffries wants to see out of his squad.
Becker across. And a goal kick. Devin, if you're at NCFC, you're new to the USL, this year, you start the season with 3 consecutive losses. Number one, as a new team entering USL, where should the expectations be for this club this year?
Any coach is going to tell you that they start the season off, they want to win. Winning is the key to any game and any season, and that's the keys to victory. And NCFC has the talent to do so.
Here's a turnover and potentially a chance for Charlotte. It's taken away by NCFC. Becker in the middle and offside. They retooled the roster coming into this year. 8 players returned, but 11 new additions for NCFC and head coach Colin Clark in his 7th season. Longest tenured coach in NCFC history. Current NCFC president Kurt Johnson, who Colin Clark worked for. He was first a head coach in 1998 with the Richmond Kickers. That relationship paying off now. Those two reuniting with NCFC. Colin Clark and Mike Jeffries have an interesting history between them as well. Maybe not directly.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Maybe not directly, but indirectly.
There's definitely an interesting past between those guys going all the way back. You know, Jeffries, there's a long storied history in the game itself. Obviously, he's a great player and former Herman winner back when he was at Duke.
One-on-one back the other way, and Iwala just threw the defender down.
Going back to Jeffries, then he leaves, has a great playing career, and kind of bounces around a little bit, but finally ends up under the tutelage of Bob Bradley in Chicago in the Fire, and all the success they had there, and jumps over to Dallas, where Colin Clark, they met up. You know, they were on the staff there, and Jeffries taking over the helm at Dallas after the managers sent away, and Jeffries was there for a little bit of time, close to 2 years, and
made the playoffs twice.
Yeah, and Colin Clark steps in after, and let's just say that the two of them are cordial, and they have a professional working relationship, and we'll leave it at that. You can interpret it however you want, but I'm sure with the career pass as well as the history between the two squads.
Look at this. Oh, and again, you can see just things aren't clicking for NCFC early on in this season. Daniel Rios, him and the keeper, and he sends it high.
Yeah, Rios has to do better from there. It's a phenomenal ball from Kyle Becker. 30, 40-yard ball hit to him in the air. And look at this one touch right out, right in front of Rios. Puts it on a silver platter. Andrew Dykstra is out in La La Land. Rios has to put that in the back of the net.
Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit www.selectsportsamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. That's www.selectsportamerica.com. Charlotte trying to counter. Martinez takes it towards the middle. He had a golden chance earlier, sending it high as well. Low cross, Herrera, and he couldn't handle it. What did you see on that initial play there for Charlotte Independence?
Saw a little frustration with my hand movements. Yeah, Cordell Cato makes a great run from the left side, bringing it in, and has probably another 5 or 7 yards in front of them. If the defense, like they did before to Martinez, is going to give you that, take another touch and have a shot on goal. They haven't really tested Tambakis that much yet, and you got to keep the keeper honest.
Cato. Joel Johnson to Herrera. Great crowd at Matthews Sportsplex. And that'll be a goal kick.
So Donnie Smith kind of lagging a little bit on that run. You wonder how much of the groin injury is coming into effect on those runs up and down the left-hand side. Phenomenal ball by the center back, Henry Kalungi, played in behind the back line of NCFC, but a little bit better ball movement from the Independents.
Well, we really haven't even touched on Kalungi's injury, and he played his first match coming off of an injury himself. Like Jeffrey said, it was a solid outing, but now you've got two guys in the back line for Charlotte Independence that are both coming off of injury. Something we'll keep an eye on throughout the night. Toulouse offsides on that run. These two clubs separated by just a 2.5-hour drive. You can imagine any NCFC supporters making the trip to Charlotte tonight as well. A great crowd, a beautiful night in Charlotte. Attempt deflected. You think there should have been a foul called there?
That's a difficult one for the referee, especially because his assistant's right there as well. So it's kind of when he looks over to the sideline to see what the AR is going to do.
Herrera into the box. The header goes wide. Graham Smith looked like he had a good hold on Herrera, but no whistle there either.
Frustration from Caleb Calvert, kind of threw his hands up in disgust, but it's hard. The first one on Joel Johnson probably could have blown the whistle. The second one on Herrera is really difficult. Just walks that fine line right on the edge of the box. So I understand the second one, but the whistle gets blown on the first one.
Into the 26th minute. Smith. Herrera.
It's in manual, but the ring's not working.
Cato on the right side.
I'm just spinning here, nothing.
Up towards the middle. Here's a shot. Deflected. And headed away. Calvert. One of his first touches in the early going. Tugging going on back and forth between Iwalo and Johnson. Always tough when you see both guys jockeying for position and one guy gets the fouls, you take another look.
Well, I'll tell you, Calvert gets really lucky that he doesn't get the whistle blown on him there in that challenge. A little bit of vendetta from before, his frustration boiling over, but back to Joel Johnson. Keep an eye on tactically. You've seen Alex Martinez and Cordell Cato switch sides. Cato kind of a little bit more of a mainstay on the right, and Martinez switching back and forth. There hasn't been a lot of play on the left side for Charlotte, on the right side for NCFC, and I think both teams are kind of switching tactics up and seeing if they can get something going. Stephen Miller has been a mainstay on the right side of the field for North Carolina, is almost non-existent in this match. If they want to have any success going forward, they need to get him involved.
Miller appearing now in all 4 matches this season. Scored on March 17th against Tampa, scored twice in the preseason as well, and surprising to see so quiet so far in this first half. In the early going, we saw NCFC dominate possession. Now, the last 10-15 minutes or so has been all Charlotte. Cato headed away. Henry Kalunji, talked about him coming back from injury in his 2nd game back. Into the 29th minute of the first half, no score. Josh Appel, Devin Kerr with you. Derby Day, or Derby Day, however you want to say it. Back heel flip there from Herrera to Martinez. Johnson, low cross, and cleared away. Looked like Calvert didn't quite get all of that, but he wanted to. Johnson, Calvert goes down, no whistle. And a throw in for NCFC.
See the Independents really pushing numbers and trying to get things going. Excellent combination play once again, moving the ball from left to right, and see the tactics starting to pay off a little bit better for the boys in blue. We approach the 30-minute mark.
Charlotte looking to bounce back. A 2-0 loss at Nashville last week. First defeat of the season. Nobody home for Charlotte. And Tambakis takes it. 31st minute of a quiet first half. Here's a shot, it rises high. So a lot of misses over the top. Cato with a rocket is not on target.
Cato hasn't really been a prevalent name we've been calling. Got a lot of power behind it, but ball just kind of jumps up as he approaches the goal. Box area and just kind of takes a quick little touch, looks up right over the bar. Someone they want to keep involved. Started off the season pretty hot for the Independents. The team of the week, week 1, and player of the week runner-up back then, had 2 goals. And so far, he's done a good job for the Independents in their early signing.
Cato leaves it back for Herrera. You can hear exclusive stories directly from the USL's players and USLsoccer.com's From the Pitch. Chance there thwarted by Tambakis. From the Pitch with written and video content that provides unfiltered access and a first-person look into the professional game and players' everyday lives. That's From the Pitch, USLsoccer.com. Foul against Charlotte. Back at that early chance for Danielle Rios. And that's kind of what has plagued NCFC. They've had their chances, haven't been able to cash in. It's the reason they sit at 0-3. Martinez on the counter. Sends one, and it's wide. It will be a corner.
Alex Martinez is waiting for the overlapping run of Cordell Cato. He can seize a little frustration there for him. Thought it was going to develop a little bit more as the space was there, but NCFC did a good job closing it down as the overlapping run came in. Still able to get a corner out of it.
Taking another look at the replay. Deflection off of Graham Smith. This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Donnie Smith will take the in-swinger. That's over everybody. Alex Tambakis, originally from Athens, Greece, the 25-year-old. Had stints with Atlanta United and Sporting KC in MLS. And was the first ever signing for Atlanta United, expansion team a couple of years back. So that 2016, that chance just goes wide. And again, it was Rios.
Daniel Rios appealing for a corner kick there in that situation. And it looked like it took a tiny deflection, but I tell you, does a good job getting himself in space here. See Austin DeLuz getting down to the byline. Great ball played back, and I think that might have taken a little deflection.
Rios was lobbying for that, unsuccessfully. Becker. That was offside. Rios has had the chances. A frustrating first half for the 22-year-old. There's a foul. Martinez going down. His brother Enzo in MLS this season. Signed by Colorado Rapids in February. First time in a little bit that the two brothers haven't been on the same team.
Jeffrey's telling us that the camaraderie that was lost is not gone or forgotten, if you will. Alex has really come out of the shadows and stepped into the limelight very well. He's got a lot of confidence, and really said last week was a great game for him versus Nashville, that they were struggling a little bit out on the side, and they tucked Martinez into the middle a little bit more and really pushed that confidence going forward. Unfortunate that he wasn't able to get a little bit more out of it from a offensive standpoint, but that he really has become his own person since his brother stepped away with the Rapids.
Those two collegiately playing in the state of North Carolina. Alex at NC State, Enzo at UNC. And of course, Alex playing still for Charlotte, Enzo last year. And I think the cool thing too about this rivalry and the makeup of these two teams, a lot of North Carolina natives on both sides, which just adds to the rivalry more. You've got the relationship between the two coaches, obviously the proximity between the two clubs, 2.5 hours separating the two. But then you also have all the natives of North Carolina or guys who previously played in the state, whether it was collegiately or on youth teams. It's cool and really good for the league, I think, this rivalry now that they're both in USL.
Yeah, it's a great thing for the game in general, and things start to funnel up through the ranks, and you get youth team players that continue their careers forward.
Rios, Martinez from behind. Rios went down, and there's an injured Charlotte Independence player down.
Looks like Kavan George took a tumble and down on the mound right now.
George in his first season in USL, played the previous 2 with Jacksonville Armada in the NASL.
You're going to get another look as Kavan just goes up to win the 50-50. Just takes a knock in the back by the big frame of Donovan up top. And going back to what you were saying, Josh, it's similar to having the players locally and coming up and continuing on to the first team. You know, CEO Brett Lashbrook of the Las Vegas Lights and their expansion team is kind of on the same lines and thought process where he's always wants to have at least one player from the local region on the roster. And that's a cool thing. It shows their testament to the community and exactly how they're trying to grow from within and go forward. And it's kind of like one of the players, Daniel Seidman, number 21. He's not on the pitch here this evening. Actually not rostered, but young man with another boatload of talent. Charlotte Soccer Academy product, 18 years old, and he's committed to the University of Virginia. You and I were talking to Mike about it. Jeffrey's telling us, I posed the question, when you sign a player of that caliber at that age, is it your goal to convert him and bring him to your squad? And it's difficult because someone at that age, you need to continue their growth and make sure they get enough experience, which is great at this level, but you also don't want them to sit. And he knows that he's going to go to the University of Virginia and get good playing time and progress his career there. So maybe he goes there for a year or 2 and then steps back in. Either way, you're keeping a local product on your squad.
You're someone who played Division I soccer. What do you think of NCAA soccer as kind of a developmental system for the pros?
This is a much longer conversation than we have time for right now. Especially with all the things, we'll say, that have happened in United States soccer. We'll phrase it in that manner and keep it positive. All the instances and occasions that have taken place over the past few months, people are real quick to kind of strip the system down and turn it around and let's do this, let's do that. Just because we're doing it differently than other places in the world doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean it's right either. I think there are some very good things.
Here's a cross, cleared away momentarily.
I also think that there's a lot of things to work on. They just need to do a better job of making sure that everybody's working together for the greater good of the game, and that's the most important thing.
Graham Smith, a product of USF, as we mentioned earlier. There are a bunch of collegiate players in this game. You know, last week I had OKC Energy FC in their match. We saw Foster Langsdorff for Portland Timbers 2 score a goal in that one, and he was a standout at Stanford. And so I guess my follow-up to that would be, and I guess it's hard to get individual schools to kind of go for the greater common good, for lack of a better term there, in developing players instead of what's the success, could be the success and the recipe for their specific program. Basically what you're saying is they've kind of get all on the same page in that sense.
Well, the other thing people have to remember is that we reference stripping things down, is that at the end of the day, anywhere in the world, this is still a business. Right? This is about making money, and there's a lot of money changing hands, and there's a lot of things at play. So it's not very easy to just say, you know what, let's do this, because it affects everyone.
Martinez, a little bit too hard for Calvert, but Cato able to recover. Into the 37th minute. One of these two clubs cash in before the break. So odd, the World Cup this summer, not seeing the United States men's national team a part of it.
No, we're not going to see United States, we're not going to see Italy, we're not going to see the boys in orange from Netherlands, and a lot of big squads that aren't going to make the World Cup this year, but it's going to be an excellent tournament nonetheless.
Who's your pick?
I have to go with my experience in my heart. I guess the Germans.
Ah, you played overseas there.
I lived in Hamburg for a little while, and so I think tactically they're extremely sound, and they possess an excellent squad.
Rios, another chance. Great play recovering by Joel Johnson to take away that scoring chance. Here's Charlotte on the counter. Cato goes down, but Becker takes it away. Deleuze for Becker. Canadian national team member has his pass intercepted. Rios has been all over the place. Not able to cash in yet. Cato battling for Herrera, the ageless wonder. Good to see George re-enter after going down earlier. And there's a foul. Calvert went down. Footy Danso. A little bit too much contact. Danso returning to NCFC after 2 seasons away.
Here's an opportunity for the Independents as things continue to tick down and start to approach halftime here. Something, again, both teams trying to capitalize on their offensive opportunities. The woes we both experienced coming down the stretch of their games, not putting together a full 90 minutes, not taking advantage of the opportunities presented to them.
Approaching the 43-minute mark of the first half. Herrera. For Cato. It's headed away, but Herrera has that deflected. ESPN Plus is the new streaming home of the USL in the United States. Watch all the action throughout the 2018 regular season and USL Cup playoffs. Visit USLsoccer.com for more details. Tonight, the official jump over to ESPN Plus. So glad you made the switch with us. Happy to be a part of this new partnership between the league and ESPN. Becker onside. Oh, just kidding. Late whistle again.
Fooled him on that one. Kyle Becker pointing to head referee once again, giving him a little finger wave, telling him he was off. And a little bit of gamesmanship by Kyle Becker as Andrew Dykstra came out, tried to grab the ball and go the other way. Very clever by the Canadian.
And the 45th minute of the first half. Wait to see how much stoppage time is added. One minute. Stoppage time at the end of this first half. Teams have each had their share of 2 or 3 chances, but other than that, a mostly even first 45 minutes. Winding down, Matthews Sportsplex, and maybe one last attack for Martinez and Charlotte Independence. Joel Johnson for Herrera. Calvert sends it high. Might have been deflected also.
Well, that's what the Independents want. They want Joel Johnson to get in, down in the corners and create some confusion against NCFC. And you see him, he gets to the right side, plays a nice ball into Herrera, a cheeky little flick across. And Calvert tries to pick out that far post. It's extremely difficult to do, checking to the ball and coming back across your body. Unfortunate.
And that will take us to the end of the first half. Still no score. Charlotte Independence and NCFC, both teams trying to get back in the win column, and a very even first half.
Yeah, Charlotte, carrying a little bit more possession. They need to utilize both sides of the pitch, keep interchanging Alex Martinez and Cordell Cato. NCFC, where is Stephen Miller? Get him involved in the game, get better in transitions. That's where your success has been.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Halftime at Matthews Sportsplex. No score between Charlotte Independence and NCFC. Josh Appel and Devin Kerr with you. Take a look at some of these first half highlights and what was a very, very even first half. Both teams exchanging chances, both sides, but again, a very even first 45 minutes.
Similar shots on target. And North Carolina struggling with possession. Charlotte Independence carrying a little bit more of that, right around the 65% mark. But I'll tell you what, they came out strong, they came out hot. Kyle Becker once again putting an excellent service for NCFC. We saw that over and over again. This ball played in behind the back line, and Rios, they ended up blowing this offside, but he's got to watch his spacing once he gets into this situation. And this is a little bit controversial. Nice ball played into Geiger, has a shot, turns, and Donnie Smith, he does everything he's supposed to. Turns his back, keeps his arms by his side. Referee still gives him a free kick. Becker's going to go for goal here. You got to do better. It's difficult from that angle. Maybe you see an overlapping run to the left-hand side, lay something off, and then coming back, NCFC, all the space in the world. No one steps up after the left side breaks down. You cannot give Alex Martinez an opportunity. Michael Harrington needs to stay in touch with his back line. But again, they threw themselves behind the bus, but they didn't get run over. They did a good job persevering and coming forward, and a world-class ball by Kyle Becker. This 30-yard ball on a rope, and he lays it right off to Rios. He's got to put his laces on the ball, get over the top of it, put it on net. And they just kept going back and forth. We saw Herrera down on the byline. Good ball movement, combination. That's very difficult for Caleb Calvert to get his head on. 1 1/4, didn't get it. And then this was nice. Nice little back heel ball played down in. And you see Joel Johnson get to the end line. He's going to go for the back post. Almost would have liked to see a little bit of air put underneath it, let Cato run under the ball. It's going to cause frustration by NCFC. But again, this is where the Independents started to pick things up a little bit. Cato had an opportunity. Ball took a little untimely bounce on him. Martinez, again, the spacing prevalent once again. Step up into the space, have a go. NCFC need to close down faster. Independence got a little bit careless coming down the stretch, though, and gave NCFC an opportunity to stay in the game. You see Austin Duluth getting to the byline, playing it back. But again, we saw everything on the left side of the pitch. No Stephen Miller. They've got to get him involved. He's such an integral piece to this team. He's been offensive prowess in the first few games for them, and this is one of the final opportunities we saw. Great ball into Joel Johnson, down into Herrera, and this, again, very difficult for Caleb Calvert. He's got that big frame, but even if there's not a defender there, it's hard to finish.
Take a look at the first half match stats, and something that jumps out, especially after how North Carolina FC played in their first 3 matches, a team that dominated possession for the most part. In this category against Indy 11 last week, 70% possession for NCFC, but here, just 33% to 67% for Charlotte Independence.
Yeah, frustrating for North Carolina FC, but I'll tell you what, you know, they'll have an opportunity as long as you can go through spells where you can get that offensive opportunity, which they've had. It's not the end of the world to lose the possession battle, but when they come, and those opportunities are going to be few and far between, you got to stick something into the back of the net.
Halftime in Charlotte, still no score.
Hi, we're being joined today by Jake Edwards, president of the USL, who's getting ready to kick off an exciting 2018 season. Jake, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So, Jake, the expansion this year has brought a large group of new owners to the USL to complement this already very strong base of ownership that we've seen that's really led to the success of the league. Talk about the USL ownership group and what these new folks are bringing?
Many of our owners, I'd say the vast majority of our owners now, have owned and operated sports organizations in multiple different leagues. They bring with them a real understanding of the economics of sport, what's required in terms of an investment level in the facilities, in the community, in all the different programs that our teams run. So for me, it's a privilege to get to work with all of these very experienced businessmen and women on a daily basis, and I'm just constantly thrilled by the commitment and investment they have into their local communities and ultimately into our sport. The new owners that are joining our league now are coming in every year with bigger ambitions. For us, we continue to drive value from a business point of view. The model continues to attract more and more sophisticated owners into the league, and that's something that we believe will have such a positive impact on the future of this league and the new initiatives that we want to embark upon.
Last year we surpassed 2 million in attendance. Talk about what your expectations are for this season and in terms of attendance at live games and just overall awareness of the league.
Yeah, our fans are the lifeblood of this league, as they are for every league. We've seen the support for our clubs grow exponentially, we're already significantly ahead of where we were this time last year on average per club for season tickets. I think it speaks to the excitement, it speaks to what's happening in the local communities. It speaks to all of the things we're trying to do, building new stadiums, creating more exciting, authentic environments, attracting better players, having a more competitive and compelling league. I think it's, at least for the league office here, a substantial investment in content production and infrastructure around the broadcast, around the digital and social. And so we take great pride in growing that area of the business and engaging with the fans from a team point of view and a league point.
Back at Matthews Sportsplex, Charlotte Independence and North Carolina FC scoreless at the break. Josh Appel and Devin Kerr with you. In just a moment, we'll take a look at the Eastern and Western Conference standings in USL through the first 5 weeks of the season. It's been a good start for Charlotte Independence. Standings presented by Wells Fargo. We get a look here. Charlotte Independence in the 5th spot with 8 points so far.
I'll tell you what, and keep an eye on that 1-2 spot. New York Red Bulls with an absolute thrashing 5-0 of Tampa Bay Rowdies when they came to visit today. And something else to keep your eye on, Louisville City playing Richmond right now. Richmond's actually up 1-0 in the 26th minute, so Blue City undefeated, and the Purple People Eaters looking to get the job done, trying to repeat. They're behind the 8 ball as we speak.
Just a quick note so far in NCFC's schedule, you see 3 playoff teams, their first 3 opponents.
Yeah, it's been a difficult schedule for sure, and you're going to get a look at what they've got upcoming. And I talked about, at Toronto FC2, at Ottawa Fury, and then versus Penn FC, and we mentioned 3 of the 4 teams in the bottom half of the Eastern Conference standings. Unfortunately, NCFC is sitting as that 4th squad, so a good opportunity to grab some points, because after that, you're going to have to go at FC Cincinnati. That's a difficult squad. And then you're going to have to take on Atlanta United 2, who's sitting in the 9th spot right now. So, first and foremost, next 45 minutes, got a job to do.
Here's what's ahead for Charlotte Independence. Indy 11 at home next before hitting the road at Charleston Battery. Returning home for 1 match against FC Cincinnati, then a quick little road trip in May with an off week in between against Toronto FC and Richmond Kickers.
And Mike Jeffrey's telling us they've probably got one of the harder schedules to deal with the next 3 weeks. And look, Martin Rennie and Indy 11, he's got them going, taking down Nashville earlier today. And FC Cincinnati, Alan Koch, they haven't really put up a lot of goals, but they've done a good job so far. They've been able to get results, and that's the most important thing. And they've got a nice test tomorrow dealing with the Bethlehem Steel FC. So a lot going on around USL here this weekend, the top teams.
Teams are back on the pitch. Second half coming to you in moments from Matthews Sportsplex in Charlotte. Derby Day in North Carolina.
have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Welcome back to Matthews Sportsplex in Charlotte. Charlotte Independence and NCFC scoreless. Derby Day in North Carolina. These two teams separated by just 2.5 hours, matching up for the first time as league foes in USL. Josh Appel, Devin Kerr with you as we get ready for second half action. But before that, let's take a look at some of the news and notes around USL. It's been an exciting start to the season, and what do you like so far?
Yeah, Carlton Belmar came out flying. You see there 4 goals and 2 assists in the month of March. And Jorge Herrera was right there in the running as well, but Belmar doing such a good job. He and Haji Berry kind of had things going. You see the ESPN schedule announced. A bunch of midweek games that everybody's going to get an opportunity to see. Some Wednesdays, Fridays, good stuff. And then there were 6 that you're going to see right there. A lot of teams out there. Keep an eye on that stat. It says unbeaten. That doesn't necessarily mean that they've won all of their games, but you got the likes of Real Monarchs, Sac Republic's up there as well. And we're dealing with Lou City, who I mentioned is behind and trailing. We've also got Atlanta and the Riverhounds, who are 1-0-2. So still a lot of work left to be done, but some nice news and notes in the opening 4 weeks of the USL season.
Back to Charlotte, Andrew Dykstra, keeper for Charlotte Independence. He and Alex Tambakis haven't really been tested much at all tonight. And looking at how each side has played, let's start with the road team, NCFC. What would you like to see them do differently in this second half?
Well, you have to wonder what the conversation was like in the dressing room with Colin Clark and his squad. You know, they showed some glimpses of brilliance going forward. Not a boatload of stuff. You mentioned losing the possession battle. That's got to be frustrating for him because both he and Jeffries are going to bat heads. They like to hold the ball. They like to be the ones to control and dictate the tempo of the game. They haven't been able to do that, but they're not out of it. You know, they've done a good job of getting their chances, just haven't been able to slot anything away. You wonder if Colin Clark's going to go to his bench and make a change. We're going to find out in the next few seconds. On the other side with Mike Jeffries and his Independence, they kind of a little bit wishy-washy to start the match, but started to carry possession quite well, and there's a good reason for it right there. Joel Johnson did a good job on the right side. We saw Alex Martinez and Cordell Cato switching back and forth. They need to continue that going forward. One
of the things that we were following entering the start of this one, the banged up defense, the back line of Charlotte. How do you think they've held up so far?
Yeah, they've done good. Henry's done a good job in the back, and Donnie Smith coming back from his groin injury. That could be one reason why they're not, using the left side of the pitch as much. We've seen him get up and down, but everything's been going through the right side. It's been flowing there, so you got to wonder what Jeffrey said to those guys as well. Kate Vosser, who kind of stepped in and was a little bit lethargic, we'll say, in his efforts in preseason in the first game coming on as a substitute, but he's definitely gotten his legs underneath him and got a little bit more endurance with him. I'd like to see more balls in the air to Caleb Calvert, give him an opportunity to get on the end of it, that big frame. Got 45 minutes left here for these two squads. Joel Johnson kind of barking some orders to his defensive back there. A name that you haven't really had to call much, which is a good thing out of your holding midfielders. Kevon George took that knock in the back right at the top of the box, but it's always nice when one of your defensive stalwarts isn't really prevalent in your conversation.
On the other side, keep it on the back line, a guy that we expected to see a lot more from, hear a lot more from, Stephen Miller. We just haven't so far tonight.
Non-existent. And again, I said if they were going to have success going forward, a guy who's got the ability, who he switched from defense to the midfield, and now he shifted back into the right side of the defense again. He's got a goal and an assist this year. He's got 40 apps overall, roughly, and he's someone that is just such an integral piece to this squad. You know, Fortune hasn't really been that prevalent. Austin Toulouse and Kyle Becker have pretty much the guys that have been the most active alongside Daniel Rios, and they really need to get more combination play, spread the ball out, confuse this independent squad, try and get something in the back of the net.
Second half underway. Matthews Sportsplex. Derby Day, a new budding rivalry in USL, one that has had previous matchups between these two clubs in the US Open Cup, but never before have these two sides played as league foes, both in USL in 2018. Give credit as well to both fan bases. They've been loud. There's quite a few of them tonight. Charlotte, NCFC as well, bringing a group of fans to Matthews Sportsplex for this one. Here's a chance, but blocked away by Duquette.
You can hear Jack's Militia beating their drums away, and they're definitely going to make their voices heard. They're loud and proud, and don't shy on NCFC. Oak City supporters, shout out to them at the London Bridge Pub, where they meet and watch all the games for them, and North Carolina Courage, as the women are playing in a match right now as we speak.
NCFC still winless this season, looking for its first points of the year. Their 3 losses have come against 3 teams in the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. They played them all very tough. 2-1 loss on the road to Richmond, and a 1-0 loss in their last match against Indy 11. A frustrating one. They've hit 5 posts this year. They've not been able to convert on a PK. That one came last week in the 92nd minute during stoppage time. Would have given NCFC at least a point. Maybe kind of jumpstart something, but now they take this losing streak into a big matchup against what will likely be a rivalry as long as these two teams exist.
And we referenced the save by Fawn Williams, the save of the week from Indy 11 in extra time versus Kyle Becker. A little bit snake bitten in that opportunity, and see in the opening couple minutes here of the second half, there's a good look at Kalungi and just tugging on the hamstring a little bit, maybe felt a little pull.
Remember, he was nursing an injury coming back. This is his second game since returning from injury. Might have to make a sub for it.
Always one of the favorite things when your head referee just steps up and Matthew Franz says, I have no problem ushering you to the sideline. you're dealing with your life, man. Give me a little opportunity to get my bearings underneath me, and the referee doesn't want to slow down the stoppage of play and send him to the sideline. That's something that, yeah, they're going to bring him off. So what you're going to probably see here is there's the very young, talented Sam Vines. Actually the National Developmental Academy best 11 in the United States last year. And Sam Vines is going to step into the left back role and watch. Donnie Smith's probably going to move into the middle of the field and assume the center back position. Most likely, that's where Jeffries likes to use the young Sam Vines, is out on that left-hand side.
Well, Vines, we were talking earlier about Seidman and how he's preparing to go to college in the fall. Vines, a guy who is here on loan from Colorado Rapids. He had offers from every Division I school you can think of. The youngest homegrown player to sign a first-team contract with Colorado Rapids. Herrera, first save of the game for Tambakis. Herrera sent one right at him. And Vines, a cool story, 18 years old, grew up in Colorado Springs, and his nickname growing up, even though he's a defender now, his nickname growing up was 7-Goal Sam, because in his youth games, he was electrifying, putting the ball in the back of the net, earning him the nickname 7-Goal Sam.
And that's something that you'll see from prolific players all around the world who at such a young age they'll start and they'll be the guys who are the focal point of a squad. They'll play up top, they'll play in the middle, and they'll put a bunch of goals away. And as they kind of carry on in their career, their role starts to shift a little bit.
Miller. Here's a chance, Rios again, off the post. The second chance is buried. NCFC strikes first early in the second half.
Well, it looks like third time's a charm for Daniel Rios. That's a quality finish from the young man. NCFC started to push the envelope a little bit. There's a crack to the near post, and it looks like Andrew Dykstra got a tiny little touch on it, but on the deflection, sitting in an excellent position. The back line of Charlotte Independence cannot stay organized. They're confused. Daniel Rios capitalized on it, and NCFC is able to jump out to a 1-0 lead in the opening 5 minutes of the second half.
Rios has scored 2 of the 3 goals this year for NCFC. This one coming in the 51st minute. And it gives Colin Clark's squad an advantage early in the second half. He figured after it clanged off the post, you know, it's the 6th time that's happened this year. What do they have to do to buy a goal, especially after the first half and the chances that Rios had, as Martinez coming down the right side goes down. No whistle, and it's cleared away, but a wide open cage, and for Rios, the fortunate bounce off the post right back to his foot, and he's able to put it in the back of the net for the Talon.
The 23-year-old from Chivas youth system on loan here, and he's capped for the Mexican U20s. And he has a goal in this year's season, so grabbing a second one for sure, and he deserves it. He's worked really hard up top, and we talked about that coming into the second half. You asked, you know, what changes would you make, personnel, this, that, and the other, and I said, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. They'd like to carry a little bit more possession and dictate the game, but the opportunities were there, and that's a great representation of what they've been looking for. Finally, the bounce goes their way, and they're out to jump to an early lead.
Donnie Smith. Johnson across his block. Martinez. Let's see if that's a corner. And it is.
Now you're going to see on the other side of the ball Mike Jeffries and how they're going to react. Jeffries telling us his frustration about putting themselves behind and giving themselves too much work.
This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Nothing doing.
Receive free shipping on orders over $50 at www.selectsportamerica.com.
Throw in for Charlotte. Couple of guys go down, no whistle, play continues. Becker in the middle. Awala. Miller for Graham Smith. NCFC will reset things. Throw in for North Carolina. Daniel Rios, his second of the season, has given NCFC a 1-0 advantage in the second half. Taken away. Missed opportunity there for NCFC.
That's a communication thing. Saw Kyle Becker, a nice little step over and dummy to leave the ball for the overlapping run. Unfortunately, the player didn't see it coming, and NCFC not able to move the ball into the space that they'd like to, but much better from North Carolina and their possession. The second half has started off way different than the first, as they've been much more precise with their passing and concealing their efforts, keeping their hand closed, almost going to show their cards right away. They've been rewarded for their efforts.
That first goal, always so important. NCFC on the board first. Miller overlaps. Whistle and a foul.
Yeah, it's the referee getting on the advantage as the NCFC got to the byline, trying to get something down into space, and this little 1-2 from Daniel Rios down into the corner, but gonna blow the whistle as he got taken down pretty harshly. Kyle Becker, another opportunity to serve something in.
Smith had his shot deflected away by Martinez.
Another great service from Kyle Becker, and good job by Alex Martinez on the rebound to step in, win the tackle at the top of the box.
Nobody home on that ball from Smith, and it'll be a goal kick for Andrew Dykstra.
Keep an eye on here, Josh. When I were chatting with Mike Jeffries midweek, head coach of the Charlotte Independents, asked him what it was like having the opportunity to get such good form in the early goings of this USL 2018 season, playing at home. And he actually said to us that, unlike other coaches, he actually prefers to play on the road to begin. He thinks the road trips are good team building opportunities, and I think that the homestands adds a little pressure. He'd rather play games on the road to start off, have those home games kind of in your back pocket, almost an ace in the hole coming down the stretch.
Cato moved off the ball there.
Unfortunately, they are, at least in his opinion, starting at home, and he'd like to have it differently, but nonetheless, you've got to take full advantage of what's presented in front of you. You don't want to give up points at home. Nasty challenge on Alex Martinez coming forward.
It's going to be a yellow. No protest from Peebo Due. He knows it, and he gets booked.
We talked about big frames before. Peebo Dewey just kind of a little lackadaisical. Alex Martinez, nice little touch across his body, and Dewey gets caught off guard, sticks his foot out. Not necessarily a professional foul, trying to knock him down, but definitely deserves to be put into the book.
Charlotte hoping to get back into the win column after a 2-0 loss at Nashville last week. They find themselves down by a goal at home in the second half to a winless NCFC squad.
Donnie Smith standing over the ball here. He's got that nice little left foot. He can get a good little in-swinging ball, but they've only got 4 guys sitting on the line. Surprised if he's something on the ground maybe. And that's difficult with a ball floated in like that as Cordell Cato jumps to the side. They're gonna blow the whistle, but that's a hard ball to play in. Again, they had 4 guys sitting right at the top of the 18. It's about 6 or 7 NCFC players. Like to see something come from the training ground. play something on the floor, make the back line step up, and you can play in the space behind him. Donnie Smith goes to a little bit more direct, not able to get anybody on the end of it.
Do you see anything that North Carolina is maybe doing differently here in the second half that you've noticed?
Well, you can see the ball is definitely going back and forth from left to right a lot differently, much more efficiently, we'll say, than the first half. We talked about getting...
Certainly had more possession time.
Yeah, and we barely called Stephen Miller's first name at all in the first half, except for his lack of, presence. He's been much more kind of vocal and available here in the second half, and you've seen balls to the left and to the right as we're going to get another booking to Andre Fortune.
First time we've called his name tonight.
And going up against Cordell Cato, just kind of unnecessarily gives it away, and as Cato get by him, just throws his body in front of him. That's a professional foul for sure. Doesn't want his team to get caught chasing and have a counter-attacking opportunity for the Independents. 2 yellow cards in a couple minutes there.
So you use the term professional foul and a not professional foul, the last 2 yellows. What is it? Just explain the difference.
Yeah, you see Cordell Cato again. He just beats Fortune, and in situations like that, we call a professional foul. We're being professional as gentlemen. It's a gentleman's game, and you're showing ungentlemanly conduct, as the FIFA rulebook would say, where you don't want your team caught, kind of run underneath the bus or caught behind the 8 ball, and you're chasing. So instead of, you're preventing a counter-attacking opportunity for the other squad. So you step in, and a lot of times when the referee sees that, not only is he going to blow the whistle, he knows the mind frame that you're using, and he's going to put you into the book.
Whistle. Footy Danso picks up the foul. Looks like Herrera will take this free kick. Kai Fosser just to his right. From this camera angle, if they were wearing the same number, I'm not sure you'd be able to tell the difference, just because of the long hair.
It's very difficult.
So Fosser will take it. Nothing doing there again.
This is starting to get a little frustrating. Our referee, Matthew Franz, isn't really letting the boys play at all. It's very stop and go, a lot of whistles going on.
Which is interesting because in the first half, it seemed like it was the opposite.
It was wide open. Yeah, he gave them a lot more room, and there's not as much leverage here in the second half. It's always, you have to wonder the mindset of the referee when he flips like that in the first to second. It's almost like an umpire in baseball, shortening his strike zone and then closing things off. And it's very frustrating as a player. You're not really sure how much leeway you're going to get, what you can get away with. That's the guys on yellow cards. Fortune, Thibaut Doué, and Alex Martinez have to be really careful because they're sitting on a yellow, and you don't know if a tiny tug or a huge lunge, what you're capable of doing.
Long ball. Johnson from Martinez. Donnie Smith. Martinez takes a hit, goes down. That's a foul.
Looks like Alex Martinez had a little bit of ink work done on that left sleeve in the offseason.
Ayman Zahid, 34-year-old, getting ready to sub in. Kai Vosser will take a seat. Zahid, 6'2", 175, double-digit goals the previous 2 seasons. Former member of Indy 11. Actually set some records there as their goal scorer and led them to a league title in 2016. Scored 11 times last year. 2018, he finds himself with Charlotte Independence.
And we wondered when we were going to see him, as he was, to quote, shocked when he was let go by Indy 11, but
he was a staple of that franchise.
Yeah, it's crazy to think exactly what went on there, and you'll never know what goes on behind closed doors, but since the signing by Charlotte Independence and he's come over, you were wondering when he was going to make his debut for the boys in blue, and you mentioned the stats. He's actually Libyan born in Dublin, Ireland, but he's capped for the Libyan men's national teams. He's got 8 apps and a goal, and he hasn't capped for them since 2015, but he's in solid form for Indy 11. They're just going to hope that that carries over here to this independent squad. Mike Jeffries pulling the holding midfielder Kai Vosser out and going very offensive-minded with his substitution. Be interesting to see exactly what formation they're going to shift into and who goes where.
Down by a goal, they need a goal, they bring in the goal scorer. Touch there from Herrera, probably not the strongest. It's taken away. Race for it. Herrera and Danso. Danso goes down. The whistle favors Charlotte.
Herrera getting down in there, and yeah, handball 100%. He takes a tiny little tumble. Very unfortunate. 4-footy Danzo, but again, momentum swaying a little bit here for the Independents. This is where Donnie Smith stepping over the ball again. In the 67th minute, put something into the mixer, let someone get ahead on it.
Headed high, and a corner. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Substitution for NCFC now. Marcel Canziora will enter. This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
And almost on cue as Mike Jeffries goes offensive, bringing Zaid in. We've got Colin Clark on the other side of the ball. He's going to pull off his goal scorer and forward, Daniel Rios, and he's going to bring in the midfielder, Marcel Canziora, to kind of solidify the middle of the park and hope that they can escape out of here with 3 points in the final 23 minutes.
An excellent night for Rios. He has the goal, had opportunities in the first half, and then finally cashed in to get his team on the scoreboard. And he gets a pat on the back from his head coach, Colin Clark, as well. Different approach on the corner. Kept alive by Smith. Low cross, still alive in the box. Charlotte, I think, wants a handball. The signal from Matt Franz, the official, or the referee, is that it was off the chest of Footy Danso, and so it'll be another Chick-fil-A corner kick.
You could hear Jack's Militia going after it as well, and Alex Martinez, good ball movement once again, and wow, I think you've got an appeal there. Footy Danso pointing to his chest hard from that angle.
Chick-fil-A corner kick. Johnson, nobody home.
It's difficult upon initial review. You know, you see him take a little bit of a deflection back, and it's really hard to tell from that angle whether or not that went off his arm, but Independent's got to get back to the business at hand.
A little bit too much there. Stephen Miller will throw it in.
And over the last few minutes, we talked about the Independents kind of shifting momentum, creeping back into this game. The reason that NCFC had become a little more lively in this match was carrying more possession, getting into their comfort zone. Talked about dictating the match and their surroundings. They had gotten into it carrying almost close to 65–70% possession to start off, but now that's kind of jumped back to 55–45. So the Independents starting to pull their way back in. I'm sure Colin Clark is telling his boys to settle down and just keep your composure, remain calm. Got a little bit work left to do.
Vines for Martinez. Into the middle through Herrera. For Cato, back to Herrera. deflected. Graham Smith able to clean up that clearing attempt. Would have been dangerous there for NCFC.
Fortunate lucky that that dropped to Graham Smith, and Graham Smith did a good job just keeping on the ball and holding on possession.
That's always been what he's good at. Solid player, able to keep possession alive, and always makes the right play. Nothing too flashy, but always the right play.
That's what you want from your holding midfielder.
Miller trying to get around Cato. He does for Becker now. Becker with his left foot just high. Tried for the top left corner. Missed it by a foot or two. And now Iwala. Devin Iwala is down. He's the 21-year-old is one of 2 Cameroonian prospects to join NCFC this offseason.
Very frustrated, grabbing his left thigh, and I'll tell you, there was a lot that went on that previous play that was good from both squads. Saw Stephen Miller going one-on-one with Cordell Cato, and get another look at exactly what went on there with Donovan. Nice little step over, and as the ball comes across, maybe just knocks knees a little bit, grabbed a little bit of a stinger. And going back to it, Stephen Miller going one-on-one with Cordell Cato, and an untimely touch puts it out in front of him, and Cordell Cato doing a good job getting his body in front of the ball. And Stephen Miller showing perseverance and getting through, and great ball off to Becker. Becker trying to pick out that upper left corner, could not do so. He definitely would have had Andrew Dykstra beat.
This is a similar scenario to what Charlotte had in their last match against Nashville. Down 2-1 for the majority of the game. Nashville scoring first in the 24th minute. And applying the pressure late, Nashville was able to ice it. Papa Mensah goal in second half stoppage time. They're hoping for a different result tonight at home, trailing 1-0 in the 72nd minute. On the goal in the 51st minute by Daniel Rios, his second of the season. First ever matchup between these two teams as USL foes. They've met up previously in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, and it's been a series dominated by NCFC. That's a corner. North Carolina FC can't believe it. And again, the frustration on both sides tonight continues. Referee.
It's quality nonetheless from Canziora.
This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Here it comes through everybody. That'll be a throw in for Charlotte Independence. Herrera. Long cross in and over the goal line. Over the goal line, and what do we have here?
Yeah, he definitely took a little touch. Alex Tambakis arguing that that ball was already out when it hit his defender, but Sam Vines trying to pick up something on the far post. Real lucky that it didn't sneak into the upper corner for Alex Tambakis.
It was close.
Again, Charlotte knocking on the door, trying to make their way in, get back into this match.
Chick-fil-A corner kick. Away from the ball, a whistle and a foul.
Starting to get out of hand from Matthew Franz, and he's having a conversation with Harrington and Calvert. Calvert asking, what did I do? What did I do? Asking for an explanation of exactly why Franz blew the whistle. Again, second half, very start and stop, touch and go from our referee.
Calvert, the 21-year-old from Wrightwood, California, pleading his case. Into the 75th minute. Still 1-0. looks like we will have another substitution. Marius Lomis from Benbroek, Netherlands, the 22-year-old. Will enter for Donovan Iwalo.
What you're seeing out of Colin Clark is just giving a little bit more reassurance for the boys up top. Iwalo, since Rios has come off, had to do a little bit more of the workload, and miles are ticking away on the odometer, so Lomas going to step in and try and stretch the back line of the Independents. Again, they're up 1-0, but with 15 minutes to go, put some fresh legs in there. Cause a little bit more frustration as the Independents try and get the tying goal.
Lomas, a newcomer this year to North Carolina FC, signed after coming through an invite-only combine and the preseason trial. Has some natural scoring ability, but his role in this last 25 minutes or so, if he gets an opportunity to score great, that's probably not what he's being brought in for right now.
Yeah, I mean, he only had one season at Creighton, but Creighton's a soccer powerhouse, and in his 17 appearances, 5 goals and an assist. That's not bad numbers for just 1 year. Though he's not a freshman due to his age. He's 20 years old. Excuse me, 22 years old. He's got so much experience overseas playing in the Netherlands in the 5th division.
Vines had his pass deflect. He throws it in, but there's another ball on the field. That's got to be frustrating for Charlotte Independence. Second time that's happened tonight. I really think both these squads are trying to adopt the two ball rule.
I'm sure Mike Jeffries is going to have a few words for his ball boys, the local soccer products.
Whistle here. Hear exclusive stories directly from USL's players and USLsoccer.com's From the Pitch, with written and video content that provides unfiltered access and a first-person look into the professional game and players' everyday lives. That's From the Pitch. You can find that on USLsoccer.com. 78th minute. Headed away and cleared away. Nothing off set pieces tonight for Charlotte Independence.
Now the distribution's been poor, and that's probably kind of me. So we're going to get another substitution by head coach Mike Jeffries.
Ian Ekra, been with Charlotte since 2015, a native of Paris, France, will enter.
What you've seen over the past couple minutes as they're jockeying for position and playing the nice game of chess between these two head coaches. Jeffries going offensive, Clark kind of shifting things back, and as Jeffries brings in Jan Akra, kind of a mainstay in the middle, likes to hold down the middle of the park. Kevon George tired as well, so fresh legs for the middle as they want to control this game. If they're going to be able to get back into it, get that game-tying goal, they need to carry more possession.
Cato. Nice defensive work from Graham Smith. Vines for Ekra. Martinez. He goes down. Play continues. NCFC on the counter. Fortunate break for Charlotte Independence.
Alex Martinez has a nasty little challenge in the middle of the field by Lomas, but CFC doing a good job stepping up, going with the counter-attacking option. Good read by Andrew Dykshaw to step into that space as ball swung in behind back line. And again, tick, tick, tick on that clock. 11 minutes to go for the boys in blue.
By the way, my math was incredibly wrong a couple of minutes ago.
It happens to the best of us, Josh.
Yeah. Math is hard.
The best way to phrase it. Fortunately enough, you did stop pursuing the rocket scientist degree, correct?
I did. Okay. I did. Could this be a chance here? Way off his line, Dykstra. He's able to get back. Lomas electing to kind of slow things down. maybe would have had a different mindset if his team was down 1-0 or they were still looking for the first goal in the game.
That was risky to say the least by Andrew Dykstra, but you saw Sam Vines stepping up, and as the ball came in, Donnie Smith, unlike Michael Harrington in the first half, does a good job of sliding over. Unfortunately, it's a little bit late. Dykstra thinks he needs to come out, and Lomas gets in behind, still retaining possession. And I got to give it to Colin Clark and NCFC so far, jumping out in front of the lead. They have not really pulled back on the reins whatsoever. They jockeyed for position tactically, but still pressing forward, trying to grab another one.
You know, I hear Stetson has a great rocket science program.
You're telling stories about me over there at USF, huh?
1-0 NCFC on top of Charlotte. Derby day in North Carolina, into crunch time now. Charlotte looking for the equalizer. Can they find the back of the net? And rebound from a 2-0 loss last week. Can NCFC get into the win column for the first time and notch their first points of the season? They have to hang on for another 9 minutes. And a goal kick.
I'll tell you who someone who's in the win column right now is Lee Kalishaw on the Richmond Kickers, as they're still leading Louisville in the 51st minute, up 1-0. On the other side of the coin, Jerson Echeverry and his boys have tied it up 1-1 with S2, courtesy of Mateus Zaldivar in the 22nd minute. Again, lots going on in the USL here this evening, a lot of big matchups.
And it continues on through the rest of the night. We've got an 11 o'clock Eastern time start in Vegas. Excited for that one?
Yeah, very excited to see what the Las Vegas lights bring. It's always an interesting show when you go into the desert and see exactly what's going on out there. Another game I'd like to keep an eye on is San Antonio FC in Orange County. I really like what Utier has done over there. Orange County Soccer Club started a little slow. First Phoenix able to squeak out a point, but since then they've been red hot, taking down some big teams and big names.
And of course, with today is the official launch of USL's partnership with ESPN Plus. You can find all of those matches right on the ESPN Plus app and or website. 83rd minute. NCFC with possession. Trying to finish this one off on the road. A tough schedule to start the year. They've been mired by some bad luck. The luck has been on their side tonight. It's fitting that the go-ahead goal in the 51st minute from Rios was off a rebound, off a shot initially off the post. And that's happened quite a bit to NCFC at the start of the season. Rios cashing in on his second of the year, and that's held up until this point. But a steal by Johnson. On the counterattack. Ahead for Herrera. Cato hesitates, and it'll be a corner. Iman Zaid, talented goal scorer, making his Charlotte Independence debut. Can he find the back of the net to tie it up? What a moment that would be. Will it come off this Chick-fil-A corner kick? Looking for Zaid. Almost was able to get a piece of it. A little bit too tall, though. You got to really try hard to have one too tall for a guy who stands at 6'2".
Tell you, some questionable decision-making from both goalkeepers. Andrew Dykstra on one end, and now Alex Tambakis. As you said, difficult to get it over the 6'3" product out of Greece, but Independence trying to float something to the back post. Jack's Militia just still beating away at the drubs, trying to push their boys to the equalizer in the 85th minute. Keep an eye up, and I think Donnie Smith is going to get a booking here. Yep.
Smith gets carded in the 85th minute. Get another look at it here. Both guys battling for position on the ball. Smith a little bit too much there. Gets the card.
And North Carolina FC going to take their time here as the precious seconds for the Independents tick away on the clock. Kyle Becker once again jumping up, looking for some good service.
It'll be interesting to see how much stoppage time gets added. We've had a couple of injury stoppages in the second half. And there is the icing on this one. Lomas, a second half substitution, makes it 2-0 NCFC.
Well, the question of the night was what was going to go on for these two back lines. I think NCFC has handled it very well and has answered that question for everybody, as the questions have now funneled over to the goalkeeping. The past 15 minutes, questionable goalkeeping by Andrew Dykstra. You're going to see it again right there. I like the idea from Kyle Becker going to the back post. Nice ball flicked in. And what Dykstra is doing, we will never know. Mike Jeffrey's going to be very frustrated with his goalkeeper, why he does not just touch this over the bar. You can see him in utter disbelief, frustrated with himself. Johnny on the spot, Lomas steps in and puts his boys up 2-0.
His first of the year. It's fitting that we talked about, well, he's probably not going to be in here to score any goals. Late with his team up 1-0, and sure enough, he nets what should be the dagger. Dangerous there. Backus went down, and he's still down. Holding his left shoulder. Take another look in just a second at what happened.
The Independents down but not out. Kind of keep on pushing. Sam Vines lobbying for a handball as he swings that ball in, and you can just see Mark Barty running into Alex Tambakis. It's a nice shot to the arm. He's going to take advantage of the opportunity to take some more time off the clock. Anything helps in this situation.
While we have a second, we were mentioning it throughout the broadcast. Of course, tonight is the official launch of the USL partnership with ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus, the new streaming home of USL in the United States. Watch all the action throughout the 2018 regular season and USL Cup playoffs. Visit uslsoccer.com for more details. An eerily similar finish for Charlotte Independence in back-to-back matches. Looking for the equalizer. And a mistake leading to the second and ultimately the dagger goal. Although, I say that after having watched Orlando City last week score 3 unanswered in the last, 15 minutes of that match?
Well, anything's possible in this beautiful game as you see Colin Clark going to his bench once again. There's a good look at DJ Taylor. Actually slides into the right back position. I imagine they'll probably bring off a midfielder. Shocking Kyle Becker. And you really have to give credit, as you said, game's not over yet, but up 2-0 with a few minutes to play. It should be, to use your verbiage, icing on the cake. We have to give credit to Colin Clark and his storied coaching career, starting off from Richmond and then San Diego Flash, Virginia Beach Mariners. Obviously the stint in Puerto Rico with the Islanders and the Puerto Rican national team. And even though he's been in North Carolina since 2011, he's affectionately known as the General back in Puerto Rico, and the General had his troops go to war for him here this evening. Made all the right plays, and solid shift by that man, Kyle Becker. As NCFC tries to get their first points of the season.
Approaching the 90th minute. We're in the 90th minute. And it's got to feel good for North Carolina FC. 3 tough matches and tough results to start the season. And it looks like they're finally going to get into the win column and notch their first points of the year. And for Charlotte Independence, a tough return home after a 2-0 loss at Nashville last week. And for North Carolina FC, it'll be 3 consecutive victories over Charlotte Independence. And the first of what will be many matchups through the years between these now USL rivals. Feels good to say that about these two clubs. Cato for Ekra. Not enough mustard on it.
The fourth official has just announced there'll be a minimum of 5 minutes of added time.
5 minutes of stoppage time.
5 minutes of added time.
Plenty of time. Get one? Who knows? Not going to do it that way. It'll be a throw-in for NCFC. They're content to just take their time. Stephen Miller to throw it in. Well, you know Mike Jeffries won't be happy with the result of this one. But in the second half, no real scoring chances like we saw in the first.
Yeah, they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, started to lose the possession battle, which is one of the things that Jeffries is known for. Colin Clark, they showed us in the first half, they were able to secede that possession, but still give them some possibilities going forward. Independent's not able to do so here in the second half.
Up next for Charlotte Independence, a week off. And on the 28th, they play host to Indy 11, a 7 o'clock kick in that one. 3 straight, including this one on the road for North Carolina FC. They're at Toronto in 4 days, and then at Ottawa on the 21st, before returning home a week later against Penn FC. If you're an NCFC supporter and you made the 2.5-hour drive down to Charlotte for this one, most likely you're going to be leaving a happy camper. Those on the other side, not so much.
Well, if you think this is bad blood now, just wait till August 25th. Starting to get towards the dog days.
Lomas making another run. Looking for his second off the bench, but it's defended nicely.
Charlotte's going to be headed down to Wake Med Soccer Park to take on the rematch of NCFC and the Independents. Points might be a little bit more important at that point in time. Not to say that they're not now, but start to hit mid and late season, the dog days of August, September, and October. People are really pushing to make sure that playoff push is there.
You know, it's easy to say, you know, oh, it's beginning of the season, plenty of time. But if you miss the playoffs by a point or two, the ones that you look back on are the ones earlier in the season where you think, just had that one.
Just couldn't get a grasp on it. Exactly. You're spot on, Josh.
And Lomas, what a performance off the bench for him in the second half. Saeed and Calvert not on the same page. Into the 4th minute of stoppage time, now into the 5th. Martinez. It'll be a corner.
Independence corner kick presented by Chick-fil-A, taken by number 23, Alex Martinez.
Vines for Herrera. Easy stop for Tambakis.
I think everybody in the stadium knew that Jorge Herrera was going to try and do something a little bit more clever there. Difficult to serve a ball into the mixer from that close of a range. It likes to go near post, but Tambakis had it covered. 30 seconds left on the clock here for NCFC to get in the W column.
Waiting the final whistle. Matthews Sportsplex. And there it is. Full time. North Carolina FC into the win column for the first time this year. One of the goal scorers you see right there, Marios Lomas, his first of the season as the head coaches shake hands. A 2-0 win for NCFC over Charlotte Independence. Nice to see NCFC get off the schneid. Now it's time for tonight's Wells Fargo save of the game. Let's take a look.
How can it not be? You saw Jorge Herrera very active all game long, and ball just gets played across, tries to go cross body. Maybe not one of his best efforts, but class by Alex Tambakis nonetheless. Solid save by the goalkeeper, and that's how you have to give credit to Colin Clark, the resilience, the composure that they showed coming in here. It's difficult to play at the Sportsplex at Matthews, especially when you're dealing with the formidable foe of the Charlotte Independents. So credit to North Carolina FC, and it's back to the drawing board for the Independents. They couldn't finish, couldn't find that ingenuity in the final third, and they can't get the 3 points.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Full time in Charlotte, Derby Day. First time these two have matched up in USL. And it goes the way of North Carolina FC. 2-0 is your final. Josh Appel, Devin Kerr wrapping things up for you. North Carolina FC, 2 second-half goals. Daniel Rios, Marios Lomas. And their first win and points of the season. Let's take a look at how things went down.
Well, it was a very back-and-forth match, and Independents are going to actually end up winning the possession battle. But starting off in the first half, Kyle Becker had a lot from the set-piece situations today. Couldn't really make light of most of those efforts, and we talked about the spacing. We talked about this at halftime, where things just going back and forth, starting to open up a little bit. And great ball to Kyle Becker on the back post, and just puts it on a platter for Rios. Cannot put it away. That seemed to be the theme of the night for NCFC, as Rios had a few opportunities, and the Independents did the same thing. Joel Johnson very active in the first half. Nice ball played into Caleb Calvert, flick onto the back post, and then Cordell Cato with this nice run. And the ball just took a little hop over, shooting over the bar, and the first half pretty much belonged to the Independents, although nothing ended up in the back of the net. And so the second half kind of started off much more differently. NCFC came out, they showed a lot more energy, nice composure and perseverance, and they kept pushing to try and get that vital goal and put them up. They really wanted to get 3 points and get in that win column. And it just was very back and forth all along. And as the Independents pushed through the second half, as we get a look at the save of the game, Herrera to Tambakis, you kind of felt like Independents were going to have their number, and the recurring theme was going to be for NCFC, but gone but not forgotten. Lady Luck was on their side tonight. Finally, the bounce goes their way as Rios has a nice strike right off the crossbar, and comes back to him.
I love the reaction from Becker there after hitting so many posts and crossbars this year. He throws his hands in the air after hits the crossbar the first time, and then Rios is able to clean up his own rebound, his second goal of the season.
Yeah, the half volley. And then we started to talk about the questionable goalkeeping, as Andrew Dykstra and Alex Tambakis really coming down gets into the final 20, 30 minutes of a match, you expect your goalkeepers to be your leaders, and just not whatsoever. Mistake after mistake on both sides for the goalkeepers, and it cost them dearly. With Dykstra growing up, needs to punch that over the bar. Again, Lomas, right place, right time, able to get the game-securing goal, and NCFC is going to creep out of here 2-0.
You get a look at the final numbers tonight. 12 shots to 13 shots, just 1 on target for Charlotte, 3 on target for North Carolina. Possession time in favor of Charlotte Independence. But as the important number is, it's the 2 goals to 0. North Carolina FC takes down Charlotte. First win of the season for Colin Clark and NCFC over Charlotte Independence. For Devin Kerr and our entire crew, this is Josh Appel saying so long from Matthews Sportsplex. Once again, your final tonight, North Carolina FC 2, Charlotte Independence 0. We'll talk to you next time. This has been USL Soccer.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.